Hello, I'm Eric Golston, and this is my presentation on cloud databases. So, a cloud is a dense cluster of water molecules that appears as a single object to someone looking at a distance. Well, we can use that analogy to compare it to cloud computing. A cloud computing is a dense cluster of computers that appear to be one giant computing resource. It is also easier to draw the shape of a cloud on a network diagram than to draw the visual of all the connecting lines and nodes on the internet. Clouds can be limited to a single organization, which would be private, or available across multiple organizations, which would be public. A cloud database is made available to clients via the internet from a cloud database service provider whenever the client demands it. This means the database can be accessed from several devices at a given time. A cloud database is mostly used as a subscription service, and the subscription service is also known as a database as a service, or DAAS, or DBAS. I like to think of DBAS sort of like Netflix. There's no hardware to install on the computer, and unlike the old days of CD-ROM, and in those days you only usually install the software on one computer, like when you had the old Microsoft 365 software, and you gotta put the CD in, and you can only use that software, whatever CD you originally had it in. A popular cloud storage application that we may know is Dropbox. I know it's available on some of the computers at school, so I chose that. And Dropbox offers 2 gigabytes of free storage, and after that, you pay $100 for 100 gigabytes of storage. Now, someone could buy physical hard drives and set up their own cloud computing resource for around the same price as the annual fee from Dropbox. However, the steps to do that, like a lot of people don't know how to do that, and people who do know, that is a lot of work, and you have to, perform the setup and the routine maintenance of the resource. That would be a lot. And another con of doing that yourself is you have to pay all the cost up front, like not just hard drive, but anything else you might need. And with the database as a service, you can pay annual fee and you pay monthly, and you can, spread that cost out over time. And, with cloud computing, you have, zero hassle setup is usually 24-hour mobile support, and you're not limited by the slow speeds and high latency of a home connection. Cloud computing helps to minimize upfront IT infrastructure costs by essentially renting some of the computer's hard drive, storage, and power. Cloud computing is growing at a very high pace. The tech industry world in the tech industry and the world is taking notice. A McAfee report revealed that 87% of companies experience business acceleration from the use of cloud resources. This can be attributed to a cloud-related services bringing cost saving and application performance to companies that implement its service. As time goes on the cloud database will become more and more adopted by companies as it can store large amounts of data for a variety of companies. A cloud database is not just a relational database deployed over a cloud server. Multiple nodes may be necessary when a cloud database is online. A node is a system or device connected to a network. Like, for example, if a network connects to a file server and 2 phones and 6 computers, there will be 9 nodes on that network. And each device and node on the network has their own MAC address that can uniquely identify each device. And MAC addresses help keep track of where the data is being transferred to and from. And with so many devices in the cloud, I think that's an important thing to mention. Like, so every transfer of information can be identified to a specific device. Data must also be distributed to different data centers at the same time when using the cloud. And redundancy is a principle of cloud computing. And the cloud comes with built-in redundancy for companies that migrate their applications to it, like using a database or anything stored in the cloud is held in multiple locations at the same time and geographic locations at the same time. And the data contained in one data center is backed up in at least one other data center, but most times more than one. With data backups and 99% guaranteed uptimes, businesses covering a wide range of industries and size can enjoy the benefits of enterprise computing and data recovery options at a fraction of the cost because, with cloud computing, you don't have to have that built-in infrastructure within your own company or hire like those staff resources because like like Amazon Web Services would be responsible for something like that. And talk about redundancy again. I'm going to mention some of the redundancy benefits. One of the redundancy benefits from dealing with cloud databases is automatic data backups. And when applications are stored and processed in the cloud, provides automatic data backup for critical information. For example, like Google Docs, I know which we all use, autosaves documents in the cloud, and sometimes it gives you like a timeline of like the revisions, so you can like go back to like previous versions. And if your like device happened to crash, while like or like while it's being worked on, the data like that you had in the Google Docs or any cloud application is auto saved, and so like even though it was disrupted, you can go back to your previous setting, and no, you won't lose everything like maybe how you will like on a Word document. Like if your my computer crashed right now, I lose my Word document or my video. I say. And once the device is restarted or back home, you can pick up right where you started, like I said. And another benefit to redundancy is that you can access your database or wherever you have stored, but talking about databases from any device and anytime and anywhere, essentially. And cloud applications allow employees to access work applications, email, and data securely. Almost any device that has an active connection. Like, so, I mean, if I have my phone now, I can use that. If I have my Apple Watch, I can maybe use that if I have the app for it or something like that. And um, just like when I was talking about with the Google Docs, if your phone died, your computer died, or whatever, like your information is lost because it's already saved and backed up to the cloud, and like it can be restored back to its previous version that you worked on the app. And it's a really big benefit for companies because like let's say like a flood happened or like the snowstorm in Texas and that happened quite across the country last week. Like let's say it knocked out the power, like at least your information, like your database is stored in multiple locations, so it's not you wouldn't know that something like a catastrophe happened because it's already backed up and stored in other places. And to talk about these data centers, which I thought was pretty kind of interesting from some of the videos I saw, like data centers have like really heavy security, and like in one of them, like the data centers are like, okay, but like one of them talk about how they have retinal scanners and how they can detect if an eye is alive, like you can't bring like a deceased eye in there of an employee who did have access and open the door because it wouldn't work. Like concrete barriers, armed guards, and they had 9 password protected doors. And inside it was just like racks on top of racks of like powerful computers. And we mentioned that there were 3 million computers running in 3 million websites running in from one data center at the time, and that was from one data center, which I thought was that was interesting. And in case of like power failure at the data center, the computers will rely on batteries for 10 minutes while the staff go outside and power up the like really big generators that they had, so like secondary power source for that. And actually, something that was interesting is 70% of all web traffic on a daily basis from the world goes through Loudoun County in Virginia, which I thought was at first like when I was found that out, I thought that was kind of interesting. Because, like, well, what if something happened? But that all goes back to like the redundancy and the data being stored in multiple locations. So let's say a terrorist attack happened or a huge weather storm happened in Loudoun County, Virginia. Well, all that information is stored in other places, so you wouldn't technically notice, even though you would know that something happened, I guess. And in Loudoun County, it was 70 buildings allocated towards data centers, and it was over 10 million square feet. And but it's data centers sound really positive so far, but one of the things is they're not flawless according to Tung Wei Hu, which is a University of Michigan professor that said, like, I guess, like the moral ethics of the data centers. And he was like, if you added up the data centers, they'd be the fifth most powerful country in the world, which is that's a lot because like when you think all these countries that it's just like data centers are using that much power. It's kind of ridiculous. And like I said that like they're idle 96% of the time. Like so the computers aren't really doing anything. They're just waiting for like a spike in traffic, like high volume, like in acceptable moments. And like another reason that we had against data centers was the secrecy of what these companies do, like Amazon and Google. Like what exactly do they do with the data that they have? And also some of the challenges to a cloud database, like that does come with certain challenges, and but despite these challenges, the cloud database is like becoming the best option for companies just because of the cost savings. And, yeah. Like one of the challenges is like internet speed, like the speed of the data transfer within like a data center is really high compared to the internet getting used to access the data center, and that could be an issue for in regards to cloud database performance. And like the queries sent to the database are usually fast, but the time taken to retrieve the data from like the data center depends on the speed of the internet. And like there's a solution to this, and like the solution is to have like faster cables like fiber optic and stuff like that, or things like that. But the cost associated with like the cables is high, and like having high cost defeats the purpose of the cloud database because it's used as a cost saving tool. Another thing is like elastic scalability, and we're talking about cloud databases. One of the things that are benefits that they can handle any workload. Like if the workload goes up or goes down, like you can it's nicely like it can change. Like it's not static. And but a problem that arises with this is that if the workload like increases the capacity of the system, the cloud database must be able to like kind of like scale itself out of the work, and the scaling of the and like sometimes like those trials or like whatever program you're assigned to is kind of like limited. So like maybe you're in one like Amazon, like they can handle 200 million uh, result searches. But if you went over that, like I'm not sure what would happen or what would happen. And another challenge for cloud database is for privacy. And privacy has been one of the biggest issues. You kind of think of it like your data is kind of like what everyone else's data is. It's a cloud, like of everyone's stuff. Like we used to have all our data sitting on a desktop, but now it's up in the sky with everyone else's. So I guess when I didn't really know that much about cloud, mentioned before that doing the presentation and like starting the paper a bit. But I always thought like, well, why would someone want all that information up there? But the cloud so far has been um, mainly um, secure in its privacy, and it's one of the important things that keep customers around because you don't want your like customers like information leaking out like what we see like what like I think Target had one a few years ago where hundreds of thousands of millions of people information gets leaked out. That's just not good. If you can utilize encryption on your database, you should use it because I'm sure the people who depend on its privacy will really benefit from that. And we're going to talk about some of the advantages of cloud databases real quick. And the cloud computing kind of given like brought like a new dimension to IT because it's like a huge money saver, and like you don't have to have the infrastructure yourself. Like you can depend on Amazon Web Services or Google to do that for you. And and like one of the advantages is like technology, like it's kind of like adapted. Like people used to like shop on the internet really to like save time, and like companies started thinking about the fastest way like to how can they do business over the internet, and the fastest way is like going back to like the database as a service thing as a service, like talking about how like it's kind of like Netflix where you don't have to actually like have install a hard drive. It's just there for you to use, just like Netflix, Hulu, like all the streaming that's like we're not getting a CD and just like installing it, like, and we can access our account from our TVs, our phones, our laptops, and and another advantage using cloud is that like we said before, it saves a lot of money because you don't have to invest in an infrastructure yourself, and you don't have to set up the data center or the high maintenance or get the staff or hire the staff required for it, and you also with the cloud database and someone else is like responsible for it, you don't have to make like immediate changes for it. And like it's mainly in the hands of like the Amazon right, or what the configuration setting that you set from the beginning did did for it. And I believe that's what I had for this presentation. And I'm glad that I got to present some of my information in this presentation. And there'll be a lot more information located in my research paper. And it's been very fun. Um, it's been a new experience talking about like cloud or something I really didn't know that much about. And I had fun doing this presentation. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a nice day. Bye.